My name is Para, and at 28 years old, I thought helping my younger brother through a rough patch was just what big sisters did. I sent him money month after month, believing he was struggling to make rent, buy groceries, and keep himself afloat. What I didn't realize was that I wasn't helping him survive. I was helping him celebrate. Turns out, every dollar I sent was fueling vacations, nights out, and laughter-filled adventures with our mutual friends. Friends who never once thought to invite me along. If you've ever felt that deep, twisting ache of betrayal from people who should have stood beside you, tell me where you're watching from, because this one still stings. That morning started like any other. I was sitting at my kitchen table, my favorite chipped mug warm between my palms, the smell of dark roast coffee filling the quiet. I opened my banking app out of habit, more muscle memory than anything, just a quick peek before starting work. My eyes scanned down the list of transactions, and then I froze. Another $300 transfer. To Ryan. My heart sank a little. Hadn't I just sent him money last week? Or was that 2 weeks ago? I frowned and scrolled back, line after line of transfers, my stomach tightening with every swipe. 250, 400, 200, over and over again, always to Ryan. The numbers started to blur. I set my mug down, the clink against the table louder than I meant. It wasn't that I resented helping him. Ryan had always been the charming but lost one, the kid who could never quite figure things out but always made people love him anyway. I'd been proud to be the stable sibling, the one he could count on. That was what family was for, or at least that's what I'd always believed. But something about it that morning felt off. I picked up my phone and typed a quick message. Hamina, hey, just checking in. Everything okay? The message sat there, unread. A minute passed, then 10, then an hour. Finally, my phone buzzed. Ryan. Yeah, still tight. Thanks for helping me out. No details. No explanation. Just another vague, recycled line. I sighed, thumb hovering over the keyboard, debating whether to ask for specifics. And then another buzz. This time, from social media. I tapped the notification without thinking, expecting maybe a meme or a random post. But the second the photo loaded, my heart stopped. There he was. My brother Ryan, standing barefoot on a white sand beach, the ocean stretching behind him like something out of a travel ad. He was grinning, drink in hand, wearing sunglasses that probably cost more than my last electric bill. And beside him, Mia and Chris, my oldest friends. The caption made my throat close up. Much-needed getaway with my favorites. Even better company. I blinked, half hoping my eyes were playing tricks on me. But no. The longer I stared, the clearer it became. The same Ryan who'd texted me last week saying his rent was overdue was now laughing under a palm tree with the people I once called my family. I scrolled through the comments, my pulse pounding in my ears. Mia. Best trip ever. Can't wait for the next one. Chris. Sunshine, laughter, and the best people I could ask for. My name wasn't there. Not even a mention. I clicked on Mia's profile, then Chris's, each photo hitting me like a wave. Ryan clinking glasses at dinner. Ryan kayaking in turquoise water. Ryan posing for airport selfies. In every picture, he looked carefree, glowing, and in every frame one person was missing, me. I set my phone down, trying to steady my breathing. The betrayal didn't come as one clean blow. It came in pieces. The memories, the tiny moments that suddenly made sense. Mia and I had been inseparable since high school. We shared everything. Our first heartbreaks, our late-night dreams, our impossible plans for the future. Chris joined our circle a year later, and the three of us became a unit. Wherever one went, the others followed. Ryan was just my little brother back then. Annoying but lovable. And I'd been the one to bring him along. He was shy at first, tagging behind us, grateful just to be included. I wanted him to feel welcome. I wanted him to have what I had, and for a while he did. Too much, maybe, because somewhere along the way, the lines blurred. The invitations started to go out without me. Weekend dinners I'd hear about after the fact. Group chats I wasn't added to. At first I made excuses for them. Maybe they forgot. Maybe they assumed I was busy. I worked long hours. Maybe they thought I wouldn't want to come. I told myself I was being paranoid. But then there were the trips. Last summer, they'd gone on a mountain road trip, Ryan, Mia, and Chris. I found out through Instagram. When I teased Mia about it later, she laughed, all lightness and dismissal. "Oh, we figured you wouldn't be into that kind of thing." I'd smiled it off then, pretended it didn't sting, because admitting the truth, that my brother was being invited in my place, felt too humiliating to face. But now there was no pretending left. The proof was right there, filtered and captioned in perfect lighting. I had been funding my brother's vacations, paying for his drinks, his hotel rooms, his dinners, with the same money I'd sent to help him get by. And the worst part? They hadn't even thought of me, not once, not as a friend, not as a sister, not even as an afterthought. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned, then turned the phone off and sat in silence. Ryan still thought I didn't know, still thought I'd keep sending him money whenever he asked. But that was about to change. For once, I didn't react right away. I didn't call him. I didn't text Mia or Chris, I just let it sink in. Let the disappointment harden into something sharper. Because this wasn't about a few $100s. It was about being used. 2 days later, the message came. "Ryan, hey, can you spot me another $200? Just until payday." I stared at it, my pulse steady now. Not surprised, not even angry, just done. "Me, what do you need it for?" He replied almost instantly. "Ryan, bills, just short this month. Promise I'll pay you back soon." My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I smiled, cold, calm. I typed slowly. "Me. I saw your vacation photos." For a long moment, nothing. Then the typing dots appeared, disappeared, came back. Finally cut Ryan. "What?" I exhaled through my nose. "Me. The ones from the beach, with Mia and Chris, looked like fun." Another pause. Then, "Ryan, okay, I know how that looks, but it's not what you think." There it was. The performance I knew was coming. I said nothing. Waited a few minutes later. Ryan. "Chris covered me for that trip. I wasn't using your money for it. I swear." The lie landed exactly where I expected it to. He could have come clean. He could have said, "Yeah, you caught me. I messed up." But Ryan never did accountability. He did charm and excuses. Always had. Me. "You've been asking for money for months, saying you can't pay rent. And the whole time you were going on vacations with people who didn't even bother to invite me." There was a long pause. Then finally, "Ryan, I didn't think you'd want to come." And just like that, the hurt I'd been holding back cracked wide open. Not sorry. Not "you're right." Just "I didn't think you'd want to come." Like my exclusion was a favor. Like my presence was never even considered. I sat back in my chair, my heart heavy but steady, realizing something I should have known long ago. Sometimes the people you sacrifice for are the ones most willing to watch you burn, as long as the fire keeps them warm. This wasn't just about Ryan. This was about all of them. Mia, Chris, the people I had once called my closest friends. They had all known. They had all gone along with it. And no tone of them had thought to reach out. Not one of them had thought, maybe we should invite Pearl too. I wasn't just mad anymore. I was done. I let out a slow breath, then typed one final message. "Me, don't ask me for money again." And this time, I didn't wait for a response. I just blocked his number and let the silence do the talking. I wasn't always this way. I wasn't always the person who let people walk all over me, who put everyone else first, who ignored the warning signs and gave more than I got in return. I used to believe that if you were good to people, they'd be good to you. That if you were loyal, they'd be loyal back. That if you looked out for family, family would look out for you. But looking back, I should have known better because Ryan had always been this way. And I had always let him get away with it. Growing up, I was the responsible one, the older one, even if only by 3 years. The one who did everything by the book. Ryan was the wild card. The charming little troublemaker who could talk his way out of anything. And our parents, they adored him. Not in an obvious "we love him more than you" way, but in the way that he could do no wrong. When we were kids, Ryan was the one who got into trouble at school, forgot his homework, talked back to teachers, picked fights with kids on the playground. But whenever something happened, Mom would sigh and shake her head saying, "Boys will be boys." Dad would chuckle and say, "He just has a little too much energy." And when I, at 10 years old, would try to tell them that Ryan was getting away with too much, they would tell me, "You're his big sister. Pearl, you need to be patient with him." And so I was. I was patient when he broke my favorite toys and Mom told me to just let it go. I was patient when he copied my homework in middle school, and I got in trouble because the teacher thought I was the one helping him cheat. I was patient when he ruined my birthday party, one year by throwing a tantrum that got him all the attention while I just sat there watching as our parents tried to make him feel better. I was always patient because I thought that's what being a good sister meant. And for years, I convinced myself that things would change, that he would grow up, that he would outgrow this selfish, impulsive version of himself. But the thing about people like Ryan, they don't change because they don't have to. When you spend your whole life being coddled, when no one ever holds you accountable, when people clean up your messes for you, why would you change? By the time we were in high school, it was just expected that I would look out for him, that I would cover for him when he missed curfew, that I would help him with schoolwork so he wouldn't fail, that I would share everything I had because you're older, Pearl. He looks up to you, and somehow that turned into me giving more and more while Ryan never gave anything back. And when I met Mia and Chris, that pattern just kept going. We had all been friends since high school. At first it was the three of us, me, Mia, and Chris. We were inseparable. We had movie nights, inside jokes, or own traditions. And then one day, Ryan started tagging along. I didn't mind at first. He was my little brother, and I liked that he got along with my friends. But slowly, things changed. Ryan had a way of stealing the spotlight. He was funnier, louder, more charming. He made people laugh, made them feel like they were part of something exciting. And before I knew it, he wasn't tagging along anymore. He was the center of it. I started noticing the little things first. The way Mia and Chris would invite him to things first and then remember to invite me later. The way they'd reference inside jokes I wasn't part of anymore. The way they started making plans without me. At first, I told myself I was imagining it, that I was being too sensitive, that just because they were close with Ryan didn't mean I was being pushed out. But then came the trips. The first time it happened, I told myself it was a misunderstanding. Mia and Chris had planned a weekend getaway to the mountains. They posted pictures all over social media, hiking trails, campfires, Ryan grinning between them, holding up a drink. I had stared at the photos for hours, waiting for that familiar text from Mia. "Wait, we totally meant to invite you, but it never came." When I finally worked up the courage to ask her about it, she gave me a confused look and said, "Oh, we just figured you wouldn't be into that sort of thing." And for some reason, I had believed her because I wanted to, because believing that was easier than believing the truth, that my own friends had chosen my brother over me. And now, years later, I was staring at a picture that confirmed what I had refused to see all along. They hadn't just grown closer to Ryan, they had left me behind. And the worst part, I had helped fund it. I had paid for my own exclusion. I had sacrificed my own needs, my own plans, my own savings to make sure Ryan was okay. Meanwhile, he had been laughing on beaches with my old friends. And it made him wonder, had they ever even thought about inviting me? Had my name come up at all? Or had they just assumed I wouldn't be part of it? That thought hit harder than anything. Because when you realize someone doesn't value you the way you value them, it changes everything. I wasn't just hurt. I was done. Done making excuses for Ryan. Done pretending these people were my friends. And most of all, done letting people take from me without giving anything back. Ryan still thought he could text me next week and ask for another couple $100. But soon he was going to find out just how wrong he was. Ryan must have realized something was off. Because after I told him not to ask me for money again, he went quiet for the first time in months. My phone wasn't lighting up with messages from him. No casual, "Hey, can you send me a quick 100?" No guilt tripping about how tough things were. No vague promises that he'd pay me back soon. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd gotten the message. But then, a few days later, I got a text from Mom. "Mom, hey sweetie, can you call me when you get a chance?" I sighed, already knowing where this was going. I called her back on my lunch break, and sure enough, the first thing she said was, "Have you talked to Ryan?" I leaned against my car, rubbing my temple. Not since I told him I wasn't sending him any anymore. There was a pause, then a sigh. Oh, Perla, he's really struggling right now. I closed my eyes. Mom, no, listen, she said quickly. He told me he's been going through a rough patch, and you just cut him off without even talking to him about it. That's not fair. I let out a humorless laugh. Had told you that? She hesitated. Well, yes, and you know Ryan, he's not great at asking for help. I don't think he'd reach out if he didn't really need it. That was when I knew he hadn't told her the truth. He hadn't told her about the vacations. He hadn't told her that he was using my money to have fun with me old friends. And most of all, he hadn't told her that I had already given him thousands over the past few months. I exhaled slowly, choosing my words carefully. Mom, did he tell you where the money was going? Another pause. For rent, I assume. I clenched my jaw. Of course, of course. Ryan hadn't told her the full story. He had just given her enough information to make me look bad. Mom, he's lying to you, I said flatly. He wasn't struggling. He was taking vacations with Mia and Chris. Silence. Then finally, what? I sighed. I saw the pictures. He's been going on trips. That's where my money was going. She didn't respond right away. And for Amament, I let myself hope that she'd finally see the truth. But then she said, I'm sure there's another explanation. Maybe someone else paid for him. You know Ryan wouldn't do that to you. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mom, come on. You know exactly what he's like. She let out a long breath like she was trying to stay calm. Perla, he's your brother. You're supposed to help family when they need it. Something inside me snapped. Yeah, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. And when has he ever helped me? She was quiet. I swallowed the lump in my throat, my hands gripping the phone, because I've spent my entire life looking out for him. I covered for him in school. I helped him get his first job. I sent him money because I thought he was in trouble. And what did he do? I didn't wait for her to answer. He took that money and spent it with people who don't even care about me. And now, instead of apologizing, he's running toward you, so you'll feel bad for him. Mom let out another sigh. You don't understand, honey. Ryan's always struggled more than you. Things have always been easier for you. I almost dropped my phone. Easier for me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I worked twice as hard to get where I was. I had saved, budgeted, built my life carefully, so I wouldn't have to rely on anyone else. And Ryan, he had never struggled. He had never been held accountable for anything. I let out a bitter laugh. Wow, I can't believe you just said that. I didn't mean it that way. No, I think you did, she hesitated. Sweetheart, all I'm saying is don't be too hard on him. He's your brother. He loves you. I took a deep breath, my chest tight. Funny, I said, my voice cold. Because if he actually loved me, maybe he wouldn't have spent my money pretending I didn't exist. And then before she could try to defend him again, I hung up. I stood there for a long moment, my heart pounding. Mom would never change. Ryan would never change. But I could, and I was done. Done being the backup plan. Done being the safety net. Done being the fool who always showed up for people who wouldn't do the same for me. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty about it. I felt free. The next few weeks were quiet. Ryan didn't reach out again. Mom sent a few vague hope you're doing okay texts, but she didn't bring up the conversation. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could actually breathe. I wasn't stressing about how much money I had left at the end of the month. I wasn't waiting for the next favor, the next request, the next guilt trip. I was taking care of myself for once. And then a month later, I got a text from Mia. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting. I hadn't spoken to her since I saw those vacation photos. I almost didn't want to open it, but curiosity got the better of me. Mia, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Miss you. Let's grab coffee soon. I laughed, a short, bitter laugh that came from deep in my chest. She missed me. Where was this energy when she was planning trips with Ryan? Where was this energy when she and Chris were making plans and not inviting me? I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, and then for the first time in my life, I made a decision that put me first. I deleted the message because some people don't deserve a second chance. And I was finally done waiting for them to act like I mattered. I hadn't realized how much space Ryan and Mia had taken up in my life until they were gone. At first it was just quiet. No more guilt-tripping texts asking for money. No more empty invitations that were only sent to keep up appearances. No more subtle reminders that I was always the second choice, the afterthought, the one who had to fight to be included. And at first that quiet felt strange. I'd spent years playing a role I hadn't even realized was exhausting me. The fixer, the reliable one, the person who could always be counted on, but never really counted in. Without that, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I started filling that space with me. I took myself out to dinner for the first time in years. Just me, my favorite book, and a quiet restaurant where no one expected anything from me. It felt strange at first, sitting there alone. But after a while, I realized something. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't worried about whether I was good enough company. I wasn't wondering if I had said the wrong thing, if I was being included out of obligation, if the people at the table with me actually wanted me there. I just enjoyed my own presence. And then I did something else I hadn't done in years. I signed up for a weekend trip through a local hiking group, something I'd always wanted to do, but never had the time or the money, because I was too busy pouring into people who never poured back into me. At first, it felt a little awkward. Everyone else seemed to know each other already, and for a moment, that familiar insecurity crept in. What if I don't belong here either? But then, something amazing happened. One of the women, a friendly, easygoing person named Leah, turned to me as we were walking the trail and said, "Hey, Para, right? You should come with us for lunch after this." Just like that. A simple invitation. No second guessing. No pretending I wasn't there. Just someone seeing me and wanting me there. And that was when it hit me. It had never been me. I wasn't hard to love. I wasn't difficult to include. I wasn't the problem. I had just spent too long in the wrong crowd. Over the next few months, I started realizing how much better life was without the weight of one-sided relationships. Leah and the others started inviting me to more things. Trivia nights, hikes, road trips, and every time I went, I found myself waiting for that feeling of having to prove myself. But it never came because for the first time, I was surrounded by people who didn't make me feel like I had to earn my place. I just had one. And then one evening as I was sitting at dinner with my new friends, my phone buzzed. I glanced down, already knowing who it was before I even saw the name. Ryan. "Hey, can we talk?" I just stared at it for a moment, my chest tightening. Not with sadness, not with regret, but with clarity, because I knew exactly what this was. Ryan wasn't reaching out because he had changed. He wasn't reaching out because he missed me. He was reaching out because he needed something. Maybe Mia and Krishad stopped including him now that he wasn't spending my money on their nights out. Maybe Mom had finally gotten tired of covering for him. Maybe for the first time in his life, Ryan was feeling what it was like to be left out. But I wasn't going to be the one to save him this time. I turned my phone over, let the message sit unanswered, and looked up at the people sitting across from me. People who actually cared. People who actually showed up. People who had never once made me feel like I had to fight, Toby wanted. And for the first time in my life, I realized I wasn't missing anything. I had just finally made space for something better. I used to think losing people was the worst thing that could happen. Turns out losing the wrong people makes room for the right ones.